This week, I would call the Australian establishment have been going after Craig Kelly. There was a survey which said 3/4 of Australians, I don't know where they got the survey from, wanted Scott Morrison to get rid of Craig Kelly. Now, Craig Kelly's been going hard on promoting hydroxychloroquine and Invictamin to sort of suppress the coronavirus and deal with it. Well, this is a article that was put out from your best mate on Craig Kelly. It's called "Craig Kelly Must Go. Search for the Modern Candidate for the Electorate of Hughes" from Peter Fitzsimons. Riccardo.
The bandana man.
The bandana man. Do you know
communist on the board of the Sydney University.
Do you know how many people have seen that segment of you talking about him? It is an old segment from like 2 months ago, but they love it. They love it. They love you comparing Professor Flint to this bandana man on the Constitution.
Oh, good.
but I don't like this, guys. I kind of like, Riccardo's obviously, you've heard him being critical of Craig in the past for a number of different reasons. In terms of the things that Riccardo and Craig agree on, though, policy-wise, there is an enormous amount of overlap. And when it comes to things like climate change and bringing a logical sort of discussion to it, that is something they'd agree on, for example. I don't like this. I don't like it when the establishment says to Hughes and they start up these new organizations targeting a particular person. Do you know why they're targeting him? Because he's got like the 32nd biggest political Facebook page. And he gets more traction than the Prime Minister himself.
As much as I have disagreements with Craig Kelly, I will break my back to make sure he retains the Liberal pre-selection in Hughes. Fitzsimons, my goodness me! Oh dear me, this is a problem. This is a problem. They are. If you want to know who runs the country, see who you can't criticise. And some people are just puppets on a string.
Exactly. And another one this week, and we've talked about Joel Fitzgibbons. Is it Joel Fitzgibbons?
That was a few weeks ago.
Fitzgibbons. He brought logic. Labor. He brought logic to the climate policy of Labor, and they threw him out. They are. I think they're really trying to not primary him. They're trying to get him out of his area right now. Similar case where we got old Labor, and we've got a Liberal senator here, MP rather, senator. This is disgusting. I don't like this. And as Riccardo said, this is someone I'd 100% fight for because I like the policies we're fighting for. Now, the puritanical part of me says he doesn't go far enough, but that's because the other parties agree. I only agree with 20% of their policies, whereas with Craig it's a lot higher. I wanted to get you worked in the Middle East, Riccardo, and I wanted to get your opinion on this because you probably know a lot more about the politics over there than me. Because I look at politics around the world. A lot of it makes sense in the Anglosphere, but when I look at the Middle East, it is something else. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. So a lot of people this week have been talking about Donald Trump's triumphs. And, you laugh at it because you know exactly what this is. This is a graph, as you can all see, of all the previous, for the 5 previous presidents before Donald Trump. And it basically looks at the foreign wars that they all got them involved in the country of America. And then there's Donald Trump, and he got them involved in no new wars. Now, people were just asking, like, they were making the statement, now you see why they hated him, the military-industrial complex. Now, I did a post on this, and I'm going to read it out, not because I like hearing my own words, because I want you to strike it down if it's completely wrong. So basically, I wrote this week, the only time I've seen the American media universally compliment Trump was when he did those airstrikes on Syria in his first 2 years of office. After that, I think he worked out the intelligence agencies were feeding him bunk info to get him into a war with Syria in order to destabilize the Assad government there and install the Qatar-Turkey pipeline. There were no chemical attacks by the Assad government, and no investigation was conducted at the time. I thought the punishment was meant to follow after the crime was proved in a court of law and beyond a reasonable doubt. Why would we trust the info of the same intelligence agencies that provided bunk pretenses to enter the Iraq war following the 9/11 attacks? The fake pretenses being weapons of mass destruction, of course, that were never found. Jimmy Dore, a progressive we've shown in the show, he covered this very well before the airstrikes took place, but in a video in 2016, well before Trump took office, and I did a post on that. You guys can actually search that on my profile. And this is the Qatar-Turkey pipeline that I was talking about. So this whole conflict is a rival between sort of two rival pipelines, one starting from Iran, going through Syria, and the other one going through Qatar, going to Turkey. Am I wrong on this? Is there some truth to it? Where does the truth end?
Oh, there is some truth. There's a lot of truth to what you're saying. It never appears to be what it is shown to be. The truth is many layers down. And the reason most reasonable people don't dive down deep enough is they cannot conceive of the level of evil that is required to kill and maim tens of thousands of people to achieve a political objective. It never occurs to them. They tend to say there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. Because there's a number beyond which you cannot go. The human soul just doesn't accept it. You know, should we kill one to save 100? Well, that sort of makes sense. Should we kill 1 billion to save 2 billion? Oh, hang on a minute. We got to look some other options here, and they don't do it. It's about control. This is the pipeline. There's the Russia pipeline as well across the north. It is intentionally designed to constrain, to provide single points of failure to the people and hold them hostage, and that's why any reasonable analysis would find a number of solutions to this problem, but they don't need to, they don't want to. What they want to do is they want to keep control. All of this supply of oil, for example, is critical. If you control the supply of oil, you control the Western world, because we need oil to survive, whether you like it or not. No alternative is yet being found to supply what fossil fuels supply. None. Doesn't exist, won't happen. Not for a long time, unless we go to Tesla and free energy, and that's a separate issue entirely. But right now, it's necessary. Yeah. You look at the Straits of Hormuz between the UAE and Iran. 20% of the world's seaborne oil sails through there. Now, if you shut that, and Iran's regularly threatening to close it, and so they get concessions. You shut that, and then a lot of people are going to suffer. And if Australians think we're safe from that, no, because we are. Every time you fill your tank, odds are excellent that you are using Iranian oil, which shouldn't be there, because it's bought by the Chinese, it's processed in Singapore and sailed to Australia. Now, every Australian politician knows that, but they won't tell you.
Frustrating.
So you're actually funding terror in Iran, but they won't tell you. Okay, so back to this specific issue. It is all about control. There are solutions to the problem, and they would rather kill tens of thousands of Syrians rather than find another one, because there is a way around this. There is always another way around it, but they don't want to. Evidence, no problem. We were told two intractable problems which would never be solved was North Korea and peace in the Middle East. Well, guess what? Good old Don managed to get North Korea away from their lunatic agenda, because it was never North Korea, because, as I said, there's always there's a marionette factor here.
Yeah.
And he managed to get the UAE and Israel to sign an accord.
Yeah, to normalise relations. So you didn't have, you could travel there, you could trade there. It was awesome.
Because when I was in the Middle East, if I had an Israeli stamp in my passport, I couldn't get into most of the countries because they cut us out. And I understood that. But once again, the point I'm making here is very clear. It's evidence. Is there a way around these allegedly intractable problems? Of course there is. And we have two massive examples with North Korea and Israel, and it can be done if you're not working for the deep state, if you're not a criminal, and you're not part of the cabal.
The club.
The club. As
George Carlin.
If you haven't heard George Carlin videos, do yourself a massive favour. Just Google George Carlin.
My God.
Listen to any one of them. Yeah. If you don't like swear words, please don't do it.
Yeah.
All right. Don't let the kids listen to it. It's very offensive. Yeah. Oh, but the truth hurts.
Oh my gosh. You know,
it's a big club, and you're not in it.
You're not. Maybe we'll play some clips next week. A clip or two next week,
if you can get in without swearing.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, the point here is, yes, there are solutions to this, but these people are sociopaths. I know I keep banging on about it, but you've really got to understand you can't defeat an enemy until you understand the enemy. They are sociopaths. They are capable of doing things that we can't.
Yeah.
Normal people cannot. And there are countless examples in military history where a general has had to make a decision that led to the death of thousands of his own men. And there's one Australian general, and he's in tent weeping, just weeping, and then he gripped himself up and went back to work. There are others that feel no problem. It's no compunction. It's just, okay, 10,000 died. Okay, no problem, moving right along.
Yeah.
They're sociopaths, and it's hard to discern between the two until you see the reaction.
Yeah. I bring this up because it's obviously a very difficult area to understand because of the language barrier, and the politics is just the culture. Each area has a culture, and there's so many different countries there. And then on top of that, there's another dimension of religion. I wanted to point this topic out because it turns out that it sounds like you somewhat agree with the progressives on this, the true progressives, not the, Kamala Harris's.
In what way do I agree?
In what way? So
you're worrying me.
No. In terms of, so for example, a lot of people in the progressive side, they've been commending Trump's peace deals over there, the 4 peace deals that he's been doing to normalise. So that's a no-brainer. Of course, whereas I think Biden's going to try and undo that. Who's a part of the establishment, and on top of that, he's not a. This isn't sort of helping the. This is helping the military-industrial complex, which is something Jimmy Dore taught. The phrase he taught me, basically, which is just the military machine that makes money off more wars and killing the American